Good afternoon, sir. Welcome. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Tafoya, T-A-F-O-Y-A. I am a retired judge. I ask that this board take a neutral position on Proposition 50 and let the voters decide for themselves whether or not to support or oppose it. I am urging you to rescind your recent vote along party lines to oppose Proposition 50. You are all required to be nonpartisan office holders. Therefore, the board should not have engaged in this highly political issue. The appropriate response was to take no position to oppose or support the passage of Proposition 50. What you do as individuals is certainly your right. However, there was no input from your constituents to take any position as the Board of Supervisors regarding Proposition 50. This is not a fight between Republicans and Democrats. This is a fight between Americans who want to preserve our democracy by maintaining free and fair elections and those who favor an undemocratic government. Recent efforts in Texas to set new congressional district lines were prompted by the White House, not local voters. This is a direct attack on our democracy. The intended effect of such gerrymandering is to influence the results of next year's upcoming national congressional elections. The Texas legislature clearly has rigged its election rules to favor one party's representation in Washington. Like Vladimir Putin's Russia or Nicolas Maduro's Venezuela and other autocratic governments, if the election results of the 2026 congressional elections are predetermined due to manipulation of election laws, then our democracy is dead. Those states that promote free and fair elections, like California, will have their influence reduced if they do not take similar steps in response. It's akin to taking a knife to a gunfight. The situation is unprecedented. Voting is a right Americans have died for in order to maintain a legitimate representative democracy. Free speech, the right to assemble, and the right to a free press depend on the right to vote. The unprecedented efforts by Texas and other states to rig the 2026 elections have triggered a redistricting arms race with monumental nationwide consequences. Such measures may leave affected voters with no other option but to express their discontent in the streets. And this scenario may lead to unwanted political violence. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was passed in response to such activity. Proposition 50 permits California to meet the threat to democracy in a like manner to those states that do not favor independent redistricting commissions. So when one state essentially brings a gun to a knife fight, other states are left with no choice but to defend their voters in a like manner. The fate of America is in our hands. Until all states create competitive districts that do not unfairly favor one political party over another, measures like Proposition 50 become an indispensable line of defense against this attack on free and fair elections. This nonpartisan board's public stand has made Proposition 50 a partisan issue. So I ask you, can we count on you to make this a nonpartisan matter and allow the voters to decide their future?
I want to state from the beginning that I'm not here speaking for myself. What I'm going to say is it's not me speaking, it's history speaking. What we're seeing today is something that we've seen before. I'm not going to go into any details because we've only got 2 minutes. I saw how fast it goes here. But I want to direct you to this book that was written by a former professor of mine at UC Santa Barbara, The Making of a Stormtrooper. Leticia, I know you were at UC Santa Barbara. Maybe you had him. He was born in Germany in 1932, and he passed away last year. He wrote well over 40 books, I think more like 52, including this one. And what he wrote in this is that about his experience as a young child through World War II, and I think he was about 14 or 15 when World War II ended. But the point here is that Dr. Merkel documents what happened in Germany and what happened to the German people, and what inspired what he called the bloodhounds of the Nazi movement. And let's be very blunt here. What's happening in America today has happened before. It's literally there for you to read in black and white. This is an ugly experience that we're learning about here and we're learning about today. But before he passed, Dr. Merkel and I spoke about his experiences in Nazi Germany and the parallels that he sees today. Specifically, my former professor made it clear that the Nazis used fear and lies to manipulate and undermine democracy. And this was their primary goal, but they also used fear and those who might soil our bloodlines, we've heard this before, to help convince Germany it was okay to raid and remove the gypsies, to remove the Jews, to remove the blood-diluting illegals and the immigrants. And today what we're watching as people are stripped of their rights is their right to vote with this gerrymandering Proposition 50 that California has designed to help fight what's happening in places like Texas. But more importantly, we're watching as people are stripped of their due process rights. I can't believe what I'm seeing in the streets when people are simply denied their due process rights that we've always had in this country. It applies to everybody, regardless of whether you're a citizen or not.
Dr. Martinez.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you to bring your comments to a close. Thank you.
What I'm going to say is that if you haven't read it, read Diary of a Young Girl, written by Anne Frank, and she will explain in her book all of the things we're seeing in this country happen today. And it's a very ugly experience, and I'll leave it at that.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you and to the people who have taken the time to be here to address this incredibly important moment. We are on the brink of dismantling everything our founding fathers and mothers stood for and stood against during the birth of our nation. Whether we know it or not, many of us are connected to our founding fathers and mothers. My mother was a Ross. Through Ancestry.com, I found out that our ancestors were pivotal in the birth of our nation. My fourth great-grandfather was Alexander Ross. He was a soldier in the Revolutionary War. His brother was John Ross. John Ross's wife was Betsy Ross. Yes, that Betsy Ross.
Wow. What a legacy.
John Ross died fighting against King George and centuries of tyranny. Alexander and John's uncle was George Ross. George Ross was the last signer of the Declaration of Independence. We're all more connected than we realize to those who've made this country the preeminent country, not only in its infancy, but today. Our ancestors cared deeply about their fledgling country. It's now up to us to care deeply about our country and what it stands for today. It's up to us to honor and channel our ancestors, those true patriots, and to stand up against those who are abandoning the most important words ever uttered: of the people, for the people, by the people. Governor Newsom is asking us to vote. President Obama is asking us to vote yes. Please do not allow the most profound words of one of the most beloved presidents on both sides of the aisle, Abraham Lincoln, to perish from this earth. If you vote no, you're voting against the people, all the people. Thank you for listening.
My name is Fran Flores. That's F-R-A-N, Flores, F-L-O-R-E-Z, proud resident of the city of Shafter. I'm here today, and my purpose is to support the request by retired Judge Robert Tafoya. I'm here to show my support, and my second thing is to ask the board to give it a lot of consideration. He's worked very hard with a group of us, and I appreciate all his help, and he's just a wonderful judge, as we all know. But I ask you please to consider his request, and I hope that the outcome will will serve the people of this county. Thank you very much.
I support Robert Tafoya and whatever they had to say. Voting is a sacred right in this country. Please protect it for all of us. Thank you.
Today I'm speaking on behalf of the Kern County Young Democrat leaders. I understand the board has already voted not to support Proposition 50, but I am here today to share why many young people, such as myself, across Kern County believe this measure is crucial in protecting our democracy. Across Kern County, young people are looking for reasons to believe in our democracy. Many of us come from communities that have been underrepresented for too long. Rural towns, working families, immigrant households, and countless other marginalized groups that make our communities great. We've seen what happens when decision makers talk about helping us, but rarely extend that helping hand. That's why Proposition 50 matters. It's not just a policy, it's a step toward a system that listens. We support Proposition 50 because we believe in a transparent and more representative democracy. It's not convoluted, it's what's fair. Kern County's young people are watching. We are engaged, we're informed, and we're ready to lead and speak out. Supporting Proposition 50 is a step toward a democracy that works better for all of us, not just the well-connected few. The few may have some power, but we know the real strength of this country is within all of us.
Briefly, I'm asking you to let the voters decide on 50 and don't take a stand that's going to divide us. I have family that was born in Cucamonga before it was Rancho Cucamonga and expensive, that got sent back to Mexico, born here, got sent back to Mexico in the 30s as a child. Things happen over and over again. We've made such progress, and the reason that I'm up here today is for my ancestors, for my people who went through what we are going through right now. I'm asking you as a grandmother for the future generations, for my granddaughter and grandson, to have as good a life as I did. And I'm begging you, please, please don't take a stand that's going to divide us and make things worse. There were historians and Judge Tafoya, very eloquent people, but I'm asking you as a mother, as a grandmother, as a citizen, to please consider doing the right thing and letting the voters decide. Don't do that for us. Thank you.
For starters, the blatant lie that Prop 50 is a power grab is categorically wrong. Proposition 50 isn't an act of partisanship, it's a response to partisanship, sort of like blaming the mirror for the reflection. The fact that supposedly nonpartisan group is taking a position on a partisan issue is wrong, but within your rights. But you have an obligation to put forth resolutions that are in the best interest of Kern County. How is letting another state steal our influence in Congress a benefit to Kern County? What is in the interest of Kern County? Proposition 50 can help Kern County support protecting and expanding federal health care funding. Proposition 50 can amplify Latino voting power in helping ensure stronger support for labor protections, real immigration reform, and local infrastructure funding. Proposition 50 can offer the opportunity for greater congressional support for federal infrastructure spending, energy incentives, and drought relief funding that directly benefit Kern's agriculture and oil industries. Lastly, sadly, why are you wasting time with this? If you want to do things that are in the best interest of Kern County, how about dealing with our education gap, housing affordability, homelessness, poverty, pollution, household income, and finding ways for the citizens to benefit from the wealth and prosperity of the agriculture and oil industries that you're so proud of? This resolution isn't leadership, it's a distraction and it's shameful. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make a few comments. First, I just want to point out that these are not normal times. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or Independent. Being honest about it, you must admit that the White House politics are out of control. The normal standards, the principles of a democratic society are being ignored or torn apart. This is well documented. On January 2nd, 2021, the White House called the Georgia Secretary of State, urging him to just find 11,780 votes to overturn the results of the 2020 election. 4 days later, January 6th, he encouraged a mob of supporters to storm the U.S. Capitol to prevent the joint session of Congress from certifying the 2020 election to prevent the peaceful transition of power. Now, August 2025, the White House directs Texas to mid-census to redraw 5 congressional districts to gain 5 congressional seats that he says that he is entitled to. We all know that's all wrong. Everyone on this board, everyone in this room understands that this White House has gone too far. It has to be stopped in some form. This is not the way a constitutional democratic society works. Rigging elections, intentionally cutting out the voice of voters in Texas, especially black and brown voters. This is not normal. This is not right. The difference between Texas and California is that in Texas, the legislators did it without public input. They did it behind closed doors. In California, this is being put to the people, to let the people decide. Prop 50 is a temporary but unfortunately a necessary countermeasure to balance things out, to give the people a voice. You are a nonpartisan board of supervisors. Your vote to endorse a no vote on Prop 50 was reported as having occurred along party lines. This board should not take a partisan position on this. You should let the people of Kern County and of California decide. This is not an issue of left and right. This is an issue of right and wrong. Thank you.
I will be brief. I stand in affirmation of the comments of Judge Tafoya and all of those who also stand in that same affirmation. I would like to add 2 points. Number one, and I say this very respectfully, each of you, when you decided to run for public office, did so because you wanted to serve the needs of Kern County. And it's been said in many ways that the needs of individuals transcends politics. And I would add this comment, that for a board of elected officials to take a political stance can have the effect of eroding public confidence in our elected officials. And that is something that we need much less of and more. And that in itself, when citizens lose confidence in their elected officials, that also contributes to the downgrading of our democratic way of life. Thank you.
I became a citizen of the United States when I was 18 years old, and that was 55 years ago. If you do the math, I'm 73. I have consistently felt pride in my chosen country of citizenship. I've followed the rules, I've worked, I've been on jury duty. I was a member of the Kern County Grand Jury for 1 year. I was selected to be a member second year. But unfortunately, I resigned due to an intolerable situation with one of the jury members. It saddens me to see her attitude and prejudices displayed by many U.S. citizens today and by many public servants in these times. Please, by many public servants and political figures in these times, please rescind your support of the No on 50. Please maintain your pledge to act as a nonpartisan entity in the county of Kern. Needless to say, I'm also in support of Judge Tafoya. Thank you.
I am also in support of Judge Tafoya and the yes on 50. But that is not the reason I came today. I'm coordinator of Kwesi, Kern Welcoming and Extending Solidarity to Immigrants, and I'm deeply concerned about what's going on in California City at the detention center. And I implore you to get the Public Health Department to do an inspection out there as soon as possible. I have, in fact, I have visited folks out there, and I would also suggest that you visit folks or go visit this facility to see what's really going on behind all the razor wire. So yesterday I visited someone and learned firsthand some of the violations of the performance-based detention standards set by ICE that CoreCivic is engaging in. She has been there over a month and she has yet to get her medication. She has anemia, and even the nurse practitioner that saw her at California City, well, let me reverse. She was transferred from Mesa Verde, where she was receiving medication. California City has refused to give her her medication. This is a violation of detention standards. She also is cold because of her condition. They refuse to give her a sweatshirt. They do not provide adequate clothing. If you want a sweatshirt, you have to buy it from the commissary, and the commissary prices are twice those of other facilities. She also said that sanitation is an issue. They gave 5 nail clippers for a unit of 80 people to share, nail clippers. And the yard, which they are only allowed to go to 1 hour, 4 days a week, that's a violation of detention standards. You're supposed to go every day. At Mesa Verde, they went 2 hours a day. The water, some of them were drinking water that then they were told to stop drinking the water out of the faucet because it had lead. So please send the Public Health Department to California City. If you're afraid to shut it down, which needs to be shut down, send out the Public Health Department ASAP. Thank you.
I want to talk about how my background coming from Mexico, being born and raised, coming to this country and becoming an American citizen, but also seeing how our democracy today is clearly shifting is something that I'm really worried about. My mother came from Nicaragua, and in the 1970s, she fled her own country because it was overthrown by a communist leader who then came over as a dictator to this day. What I am most worried about is seeing how America is not far off. In America, we seem to believe that we are far off from political corruption. We are far off from becoming the next Venezuela. But as one of my professors said in How Democracies Die, we are actually not far off. We have actually seen how today the traditions underpinning America's democratic institutions are unraveling, opening up as a disconcerting gap between how our political systems work and longstanding expectations about how it ought to work. As our soft guardrails have weakened, we have grown increasingly vulnerable to anti-democratic leaders. I am not asking you today to abandon your own values and what you believe in, but what I'm asking you today is to truly see what it means to be an American. Being an American is not being patriotic towards a political party, but being an American today is feeling a sense of pride and joy, whether you're an immigrant, a woman, a man, no matter where you come from, no matter what you stand for, is coming together and standing for your own rights. Thank you.
Watching you interact with some of the speakers is what we expect for all issues that matter to Kern residents. Kern has turned into a prison as a source of job and economic development. But despite the promise of economic benefits, the presence of prisons does not lead to long-term prosperity. Specifically, allowing our communities to become dumping grounds for billion-dollar private corporations like GEO and CoreCivic does not benefit us. I know you will say you have no power over federal issue, but you have power to decide what we invest in and what we fund in Kern County. By every conceivable metrics, Kern County allocate more of its general funds to policing and criminalizing our communities than any other function in this community. Under the 2025-2026 budget, the combined category for policing, prosecution, incarceration, and probation is slated to receive over 50% of the general fund dollars. Over $500 million of our public money. It is the single largest expenditure in the county. The sheriff's office alone is set to receive $345 million. And in comparison, public assistance programs will only receive about 16% of the general funds, or about $187 million. Public defense services, like the Public Defender's Office, which ensures legal representations for residents who cannot afford an attorney, will receive less than 5%, approximately $30 million. Education and libraries, including the county library system and the Farm and Home Advisor program, are set to receive about 1% of the budget, or around $15 million. These figures don't just reflect a budget, but it's a set of values, this community's values. One that prioritizes incarceration over care and punishment over community. And this is not what we deserve. We deserve better.
Public safety is not just more cops. I don't have anything against cops. Public safety is the absence of, public safety isn't, criminalizing our communities. Safety is the presence of well-being, mental health resources, housing resources. The budget is fully for, the sheriffs. And again, nothing against law enforcement, but, this county needs so much more than just, dollars being thrown into the garbage. And I'm also speaking in support of Prop 50 because immigrant communities deserve fair and equal representation in Congress. For too long, national redistricting has been pushed around and bullied by other states. I don't know how it's done in other countries. I don't know how it's done in other states. I love California. I'm a Cali girl. And we need fair and equal representation. And if whoever doesn't like it, they can go to a different state. But here, the way that it is here in California, immigrants run this country. We produce the fruits. We have the labor. We also are deserving of human rights and dignity. And so I'm not here to lecture you all, but just to remind you that you took an oath of public officials, and that is being, just neutral, right? Again, I'm not here to shape different opinions and forms, but remember who you are serving.
Good afternoon.
One budget area that stands out is Kern County funding for park rangers. Now $5 million, according to August 2nd, 2025 article in the Californian. In fiscal year 2024-25, the CAO transferred the ranger program to the sheriff's office. Before that transfer, park ranger expenses for the preceding 2 years were under $1.1 million each. How has that additional almost $4 million in taxpayer money impacted Kern County parks? Well, no evidence in Panorama Park. Never seen a park ranger there in a vehicle or on foot patrol, even after a young man was shot to death a couple of months ago trying to break up a fight in the park. No commitment to replace the 14 trees that died last summer for lack of water, with vandalism given as a reason. Park rangers on patrol would discourage vandals. Where is accountability? Of utmost importance, the health and safety of all who live in Kern County, including in California City's ICE Detention Center. Conditions so awful that one man committed suicide and another tried. Prescription medication denied, with a man collapsing with a blood sugar level of 40. Water in some sinks whitish. Slippers given to detainees as shoes so thin that when men go to the yard, which has no bathroom or water fountain, their slippers get punctured by the puncture vines. During a recent rainstorm, detainees were forced to use towels and blankets to clean up their wet two-man cells, wet from ceiling links. This situation is dire. 2 weeks ago, many of us were here and asked this board to direct the Kern County Department of Health to go into this facility and conduct a thorough inspection of health and safety conditions. As I speak, no inspection has done or planned. Human beings are suffering while the sheriff's budget balloons without accountability. Wrong. By the way, what's right, I stand with him, Judge Tafoya. Thank you, Judge Tafoya.
I'm here in support of Proposition 50. If our president can call the governor of Texas and tell him to steal some seats, then California can do the same thing We got to fight fire with fire. So we can't just let them get away with it. I get tired of people saying, well, you're doing wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. But they're doing it, so why can't we do it? You know, if I'm going to go to a fight, I'm going to go there equally. So thank you. I want to make it short.
I'd spoken to you guys a couple weeks ago on the day that you had made your decision, and I didn't get a chance to come to the next county board meeting, but I wanted to let you know that I'm disappointed in the majority vote that you guys had done. And I told you that, you know, you had the authority and the ability to do it, but sometimes you need to take a step back and not exercise those. And so you can see the constituents that you've had come up, you know, in the last hour or so, that when we are aware of the decisions you guys are making, you know, we show up in numbers. And you can tell that at this point, or you should be able to, that you were wrong in making that decision. In the legal community, there's a legal doctrine, res ipsa loquitur, which means let the thing speak for itself. And as I told you at the last meeting that I was here, you got your ballot in the mail, I got mine. You can vote the way you want to vote, and I'm going to vote the way I want to vote. But when I voted yes, and you said that Kern County was voting no, now there's a conflict. And we didn't need to do that. We didn't need to send a message that there's a conflict between what our supervisors think Kern County is doing when we are showing up now en masse and telling you, no, we are voting yes. You were wrong on that. So I'm asking you from a procedural standpoint, officially, that once through the general portion of this is over, that I ask one of the supervisors to put on the next board meeting to make an actual vote on rescinding that resolution. Thank you.
I'm a small business owner, born and raised here in Kern County. And just in light of what's been going on, I am an American. I choose to share my voice, share my thoughts and my positions, and I serve my country. And I feel offended by some of the language that's being used on the national level about people who stand up for the rights of others, for the vulnerable, for our democracy. Because I understand that is what it is to be an American. I'm here with countless others requesting of each of you, Parlier, Flores, Perez, Couch, Peters, that you rescind your vote that was party line affiliated in opposing Prop 50. As a constituent, I know that each of you in the positions as Kern County Board of Supervisors must be nonpartisan while serving in this position. We understand that you have rights to vote as you wish as individuals, as we do. But as a board elected by us, your constituents that you represent, your recent vote on Prop 50 was inappropriate. Here you are, where in a supervisorial role, we are not asking which party you favor, but rather we, fellow American constituents, in an effort to remain a democracy, we must insist on fair elections. We must insist that you represent as we voted you in to do so. And therefore, we are here to give you a reminder of nonpartisanship, that the fact that you asked for our votes for this position with the knowledge of your need to be nonpartisan, and we ask that you rescind. All in favor of our Board of Supervisors to rescind, please stand now and wave your American flags. We, the people, neither left nor right, but as fellow Americans serving, we ask and we express that you do so and honor our two shared constitutional rights.
I was born in Los Angeles and moved here in '99 in Bakersfield. It wasn't okay. All right. So anywho, I didn't have a lot of options, but that didn't stop me from going from one place to another. I understand why you guys voted for no on Prop 50. I'm not going to judge you guys. I'm not going to say you're wrong. But the people behind us, are the constituents, they made their voices clear that they want Prop 50 to pass. Now, I don't have a lot of experience in politics, but I know that when we want something, when we want to achieve something, we arrive in numbers. We tell you how we feel. And I understand how Parlier, Flores, Perez, Couch, and Peters feel about this proposition. Yeah, we're going to have conflicts in the near future, but at the end of the day, we're all human. We all choose what we want in life. We all decide what we want in the future. We control our destinies. We control our lives. We will thrive. We will get through this. There are dark days ahead in the future, but as long as we're together, nothing can stop us. We are Kern County. Thank you for your time.
We know that we are living in a very difficult moment right now. We have seen authoritarianism like we never thought would ever happen in the United States of America. Millions of people have given their lives to save democracy. And even in my own family, my dad, my brothers were in World War II. My great-grandfather actually fought in the Civil War on the Union side, okay? And, you know, people gave their lives, and now we are being called on to do something to save our democracy. And I want to thank all the people that are here, because that is exactly what we are doing right now. We have never seen the terrible things that are happening in Kern County right now. We know that 90 people were arrested. We were the first ones hit by the Border Patrol. They arrested 90 people. Of the 90 people that they arrested, only one had any kind of a criminal record. And that could have been a traffic ticket, for all we know. I do not believe that this board aligns with what is happening right now. And this is why we have to do whatever we can to change it. Had we been in Nazi Germany in the 30s, what would we have done to save the lives of Anne Frank and the other Jewish people, disabled people that were being murdered by the Nazis? I think we would have done something. And now, you know, what you're being asked to do is very, very small compared to the sacrifices that other people have done to save democracy. All we're asking you to do is to rescind the vote that you gave against Proposition 50. Because what we are trying to do with Proposition 50 is stop the attacks on our communities, stop the ethnic cleansing, stop cutting our Medicaid, stop cutting the money that's going to disabled children and disabled community. We have to change the politics. And the only way that we can change the policies that are happening right now in the United States of America is by supporting Proposition 50 and making it possible that the people who are using our tax dollars to put people in detention centers like the one that we just heard about. This is our tax dollars. That money that we need to go for health care, that we need to go for education, that we need to go for infrastructure. These are our tax dollars. And we have to change the people that are doing this. And so it's a very simple thing that you have to do. If you want to stop the fascism, the authoritarianism, all you have to do is rescind your vote. You have an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America, not an oath to the Republican Party. And we ask you to do what you promised to do when you raised your hand and you gave your oath.
Thank you.
You can do it. Thank you.
I've sat here for over an hour, and I just couldn't be silent. I respect and support the resolution you guys adopted, and you guys know me a little bit now, so I support legal immigration, not illegal immigration. I support law enforcement And our governor has hurt our county budget tremendously. He's broken the county. He's destroyed it. And the people that are in support of Prop 50, he wrote this law. How can you support that? Not to say what the state of California has done to our child's public school education. If any of you have children in school or grandchildren, like myself, been following it 5 years since the pandemic, and boy, we are in terrible shape. You talk about Nazism, that's in a heartbeat. Thank you for your time.
I am here today in support of Judge Tafoya's request. I support what everyone has said here today, but I wanted to kind of give you my thoughts on this. I am 72. I'm a retired attorney. I practiced law for 35 years, much of it for the County of Kern, its officers and its employees, which I'm very proud of. But I feel like at this time in our history, we are changing. A lot is changing, and the bonds that hold us together as a people and a nation, they're fraying. It's getting to be a very important historical time, and as a student of history, I would say that it's not good to live in a historical time. It's better to live in kind of one of those times like we did in the 50s, 60s, 70s, where not much is happening, at least that affects you in your daily life. And I was very surprised when Proposition 50 first came out to read the history of it and to realize that it all stemmed from the president asking the Republicans who run Texas to come up with 5 new seats. And from that, everything has happened since then. Governor Newsom is trying to overcome essentially a sucker punch. And we got it, we took the sucker punch, and now Proposition 50 is trying to reestablish the status quo, the balance of things, by establishing 5 new, probably Democratic congressional districts. That would be the balance with Texas's 5 new Republican districts. It's not a matter of change, it's a matter of balance and leveling the playing field. I support Governor Newsom. I support Proposition 50. I urge your board to rescind, and I urge everyone here today, if they haven't voted, vote yes on Proposition 50.
In the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders, there is a diagnosis called narcissism. I am not allowed as a therapist to diagnose someone I have not seen, and if I had seen them, I would certainly not be allowed to talk publicly about that diagnosis. However, from an observational standpoint, we have a president who meets the criteria of narcissism. There are 9 criteria. 5 of them are all that is required. However, if you simply observe him, just from an observational point of view, he is a narcissist. And this is who is determining what is happening to this country. So I urge you to change your vote. Thank you.
I didn't come here to address the board, but after hearing all the comments, my name is Beto Sala, B-E-T-O-S-A-L-A. I've been a lawyer in this county for 42 years. I've been certified by the State Bar as a specialist in criminal law. I believe in public safety and law enforcement, but most importantly, I believe in the rule of law and the Constitution of the United States. And I just want to leave you with this observation, because I think it's important. What you're being asked to do is to rescind a resolution that probably shouldn't have occurred in the first instance. I heard the former Marine, speak that we all received our ballots. We all have a right to choose whether or not we want to adopt Proposition 50 or not. But this board has a lot of influence in this county. You can be very persuasive to voters. But what happened in taking a position the way you did is you disregarded that right to choose. It would be similar to if I were to try a case in front of a jury and I asked the jury to consider the evidence and have the jury make their decision, but the judge were to say, I think you should vote for guilt. What do you think that would do, that kind of influence? What kind of impact that would have on a jury? It would undermine their independent ability and power to judge for themselves. And that's what you all did. With all due respect, you put your finger on the scale, particularly when it was not your role to do that. And that's what you all did. You told the jury how to vote. And I don't think that was appropriate, and I ask you to rescind that decision. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing portion, and I'm going to come back to my colleagues and respectfully ask for them to respond to what they have heard today. In my time as chair this year, I have not sat through an hour and a half of public comment with such passion. Yes, there's disagreement, and that's appropriate. But I have not heard such a lengthy period of public comment since I have been up here. And so I think it is incumbent upon us to respond to the issues that were presented today, in particular two of them. The ICE facility, of which we will get to after we deal with the issue of Prop 50.
First off, I appreciate everybody taking their time to come down here, to be engaged. I think that's important. We need to see more of that. You know, this is something that, you know, was said many times. We're doing this. We're trying to make it a fair fight. Texas did this. California has to do this. Well, right now, almost every single elected member of the Democrat Party at the state level has taken a position in support of this. And as far as counties, I believe there's, I have the list right here. San Mateo County Board of Supervisors has taken a position in support. San Francisco Board of Supervisors has taken a position in support. Los Angeles City Council has taken a position in favor of support. The Napa County Board of Supervisors has taken a position in favor of support. You know, there are a lot of people in this county that are on both sides of the aisle, and that's a great thing. But we listen to everybody, all of our constituents, not just the loudest ones in the room. And to say that we're discounting or influencing, or this is something we shouldn't have done, while not mentioning anything about every other county that's out there in support, is antithetical to every argument I've heard today when you're saying that we need to do this because Texas did it. I'm not saying that two wrongs make a right. I don't live in Texas. I don't represent anybody in Texas. I represent everybody in Kern County, in particular District 1. And I promise you, there is a significant number of people in our county that don't want this. Voters voted in 2010 to form an independent election commission. After politically charging the situation as being put forward again to the voters to undo that decision. Everybody's going to get a chance to vote on this. Voters didn't put this proposition back on the ballot, our state did. So to say that this isn't politically charged is completely disingenuous. And to be honest, I find the comparisons that I've heard today from some members about Nazi Germany absolutely reprehensible, especially in this era of political violence. And I would hope for better than that. I appreciate, again, everybody's opinions, everybody's civil conversation on this. And I absolutely guarantee you, I'm representing my constituents on this, but we are all still going to get a chance to vote on it. And so that's my comments for now. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone that has come out with their testimony and their arguments. It was very powerful. If anyone would like to discuss it further with me, you're welcome to come up to my office or call me on my landline or cell phone, and I'm happy to discuss the measures pro and con and what it does to the state, irrespective of party. There's a lot of issues with this from a constitutional standpoint, from a map drawing standpoint, from a transparency standpoint, but more importantly, from a rural versus urban standpoint. When you change the nature of the districts to this extent, rural California will no longer have a say in anything. The weight and the shift is transferred to urban areas. When you have districts that were formerly semi-intact up in the north part of the state, now being drawn from the Oregon border to Marin County and to the Bay Area, it really does a disservice to rural interests, rural industries, rural voters. So that's just for starters, but we can talk about Texas and two wrongs make a right and what have you, but it's really more than can be discussed here from the dais in a couple of minutes. But I have an open door. Anyone that wants to come see me can see me in my office or call me on my cell phone, 332-2717, and I'm happy to speak with any one of you. And thank you for coming out. And then we can talk about the prison issue, which is we don't control those prisons. I want to make that clear, because oftentimes people are taking the mic and they're I don't know if they're assuming or they think that we're running those, but we're not running. The only prison we're running is Laredo. And to insinuate otherwise and to castigate the board that we're responsible for anything that's happening. I don't know what's happening because I'm not over there. But we can talk about that also. If you want to come see me, we can talk about that too.
I supported opposing. How do you support opposing? I opposed and do oppose Prop 50, and I'll tell you why I voted in the way that I did. Prop 20, I think it was, in 2008, established this commission, which I wasn't crazy about, an independent commission. But it was put there, I believe, by the voters. I don't think, well, I know the state of California did not go through any public process of showing a variety of changes that could be made to the congressional district boundaries. It was you can't get an answer on who drew the maps, and I just think the process was flawed. And you can believe, I'm going to make a statement. Some of you aren't going to believe it because you think this is entirely partisan. I can assure you, I'm telling you the truth as best I can. If the Republican Party had tried the exact same thing, I would have opposed it, because I don't think the process was followed the public process was followed the way it should have been.
I cannot even begin to express my gratitude and my appreciation for the remarkable passion and brilliance presented today, which was on a whole host of opinions and political matters. I really appreciate you. You probably know that I voted no on this particular issue. And for a moment, I thought about abstaining on it because I was so disheartened by such a partisan matter being drug into these chambers. I thought about that for a moment, and I realized that would have been weak and really unacceptable to many people. And I took the position that I did for a lot of reasons. But I was really very saddened by that moment for a number of the reasons expressed here today quite articulately. Thank you, Mr. Sala, for, I think, a very objective perspective about why this board should think very seriously about the positions it takes, in particular on heavily, heavily heated political matters that, as has been stated very well today, are, quite frankly, tearing this country apart. Our civility, our norms, the things that make America the light of the world, with all of our religions, our languages, our cultures, our traditions that emerge from the entire globe, unless you're Native American. And that is part of what is so profoundly courageous about this nation. is our willingness to engage in civil debate, to create spaces like we have in this Board of Supervisors chambers, where we can talk about issues like resources to the Sheriff's Department, resources to our autistic children in this community, our parks and their condition, et cetera, et cetera. That is what this space is for. It is for all of us. Whatever your political leanings may be, whatever your personal choices to express a faith or practice that in your private settings and in your houses of worship, that is for you to choose and for you to decide. But this place is a place for all of us. It's a place of civility and for the kind of democratic norms that are not seen in anywhere on the globe, and that are the hope and envy of the nearly 7 billion plus people on this planet. We know that because of how many people die trying to get here. What they sacrifice, what the people who have come before us have sacrificed to emerge from wherever on the planet your people come from. And so I was saddened to see that matter. While I appreciate the passion and the reasons why my colleagues wanted to address that issue here, they feel very passionately about the political matters that are before us today, and I respect that. But I was deeply saddened to see that matter come into here and create the kind of environment that we see here today, that pits people against each other, creates partisan conversations that are really not appropriate or not for this place. And I know why you came today, and I appreciate it, and I respect it, and I am grateful for you for being here and expressing a different opinion that is what is traditionally the majority view in this chambers, because there hasn't been a lot of space for that. And it is just as important as the majority and dominant political position in this community. While I wish we would leave that for our partisan places and our houses where we debate such things. But I think you can see very clearly that there is not the political impetus from this body to change the vote that was taken. I think that's very clear and very obvious. I respect my colleagues and their position. I know they feel passionately about it, and they have been very clear with you today their reasons for not rescinding that vote and for continue to have the position that they do. And so I want to say again, thank you for being here. Thank you for demonstrating that there are a host of political views in this county that are passionate, that are strong, that are organized, and I appreciate you all being here today, whatever your political perspective was. I do want to move to the issue of the ICE facility because this has been raised in these chambers now for years. While I have been chair and while I have not been chair, these issues have been raised. And I think we owe it to the public to answer the public what we are doing, what we cannot do, what we believe is within our purview, and what steps that we can reasonably take moving forward. I would ask our county council at this time if you could give us some direction on what you believe is appropriate, what we can, what we cannot do, and where the conversation for the county is in its evolution regarding these facilities here. Somebody said earlier we can shut these facilities down. I don't believe that we have the authority to do that, but it would be helpful to hear from county council and staff on the evolution of this conversation. Thank you.
Yes, you are correct that we do not have the ability to shut these facilities down. These are they're private facilities that are contracted with the federal government. We don't have any power. While there was recent legislation that does allow us to go in and inspect, we are not required to inspect. If we do inspect, we can file reports that have to be filed with your board, with the BSCC, and also with the facility that is managing or running those facilities. However, we have no teeth. There's nothing that we can do to, we can't cite them, we can't put violations on them, and we may not even be able to enter them if they don't allow us to enter them. We can certainly take a referral from your board to look into what steps we can take, perhaps in the form of cooperating or reaching out to these facilities and asking for their cooperation so that we could maybe gain access to do the inspections. But they have the right to keep us from coming in. If you need anything else, I have Jennifer Feige with me, who has done a deeper dive into these issues, and I'd be happy to have her answer some further questions.
Thank you so much. Jennifer, it would be really helpful if you could shed as much light as you can possibly shed. There is remarkable confusion on these matters today because of splits in the law and because some matters have not been fully interpreted or provided for us to understand these matters. I appreciate that reality. There has been remarkable outcry from the public, as you see today and in previous settings, regarding the conditions at these facilities and what the county is able and capable of doing. If you could help shed light, please, on these matters, I think it would go a long way.
Madam Chair, Board, I will do my best. There was a reference by Ms. Graham regarding California Senate Bill 1132 that took effect January 1st of this year. And just to kind of put this in perspective, we have 3 facilities here in Kern County which are operated by private contractors. They're under contract with the federal government, and specifically they're under the purview of the Department of Homeland Security, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. And under that umbrella, there are 6 separate agencies under ICE and the Department of Homeland Security. And for the record, the Office of the Inspector General, the Office of Detention Oversight, the Office of the Immigration Detention Ombudsman, U.S. ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations, the Office of Professional Responsibility, and the Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. In addition, under the operating statute for Homeland Security, the members of Congress and their staffs are allowed to enter those facilities as well. And finally, Assembly Bill 103 empowers the California Attorney General to conduct reviews of these local, county, private, locked detention facilities that house non-citizens through 2027. And also we have the Board of State and Community Corrections, BSCC, that Ms. Graham referenced earlier. So under this broad umbrella of Homeland Security, you have 6 separate agencies within that conduct those reviews. You also have state oversight. It is a very murky area to determine what our ability is to conduct reviews. If we conduct those reviews, as Ms. Graham indicated, there's no way we can impose any violations. So I think we need some clarity from our federal and state agencies about what our role should be.
And how would we go about getting that clarity? What is it that we actually can do? Can a supervisor show up there and ask to see the facility?
No, not at all. The Health and Safety Code only empowers the local health officer to go out and conduct that inspection. And I would note that that would require consent from the facility. If the facility doesn't allow you in, unless you have consent, you would need a warrant.
How do we obtain consent to do such a thing?
We'd have to reach out. I believe of the handful of facilities in the state, there's only been 1 inspection conducted in the entire 10 months that the statute's been operative.
Okay, so if this body were to choose to want to send our health officer in, the supervisors cannot go, it sounds like.
Correct.
But the health officer could go if we were to reach out to the facility and ask them for permission and collaboration, partnership essentially, to see if what we are hearing from the public is true or not true, or to see the conditions of the facility.
That's correct.
Okay.
So just to clarify, I know you said 1 inspection has been conducted, but just for the benefit of the public, I believe you meant 1 inspection's been conducted by a county under this new law, not just 1 inspection in total, correct?
My understanding is that there is 1 county in California that has gone out and conducted 1 inspection.
Okay, but the other federal entities are still filing reports? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And then I think there was one other question I had. Yeah, in 2018, I think it was, that was when the federal government filed a lawsuit against the state of California regarding going and inspecting similar federal facilities. Is that correct?
Supervisor Peters, through the chair, yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. So just from my point of view, I think, we're being told one thing by the state, one thing by the federal government. I think it would be good if we could just seek some clarity on that and reach out to whoever the appropriate agency would be at the state and federal level, and just ask for a legal opinion on what our responsibilities or allowable duties would be, just from a legal perspective.
This is, I don't want to say entirely unprecedented, but it is an area that we are working through and figuring out literally as we speak what is allowed, what is not allowed, and what we can do as a county to answer to you, mostly the public, but to see to it that members of this community or who is housed in Kern County. I understand we have more detention facilities than any other county in the state. There are only 4 counties who have detention facilities. We have the most here. I think it behooves us to get some clarity about what we can and cannot do. I think there has been real confusion about it, certainly from the public, about what they believe we can and should be doing, and we owe them a full explanation as to what our capacity is and what our intentions are.
Sometimes we have a chart over here that shows the progress that the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District has made over the last 25 years or so. And it's remarkable progress. The reason I asked to have that put up there is because many times during hearings, usually land use hearings, we hear that we have the worst air in the country, which isn't true anymore, but we're grappling with how to run a campaign that says we're not the worst. That's not the best, not the best tagline. We're trying to come up with something better than that. But we've made tremendous progress, and but oftentimes when people stand up here to the microphone and they say something, it's taken. If the public hears it, they're going to believe it. Something was said earlier today about the amount of money. I'm getting to the behavioral health piece of this now, about the money that we spend on public safety, and we do spend a great deal of it. However, if you would like to venture a guess, and I'm not denigrating this, venture a guess at what our behavioral health budget is for the fiscal year 25-26, just put a number in your head, and now I'm going to tell you what it is. It's approximately $450 million. So it's not for a lack of money or a lack of spending that we are putting effort into not only public safety but also behavioral health. And I wanted to make that comment because I think some people think we're just throwing all the money at public safety, which is needed, but we're doing a lot more than just that. Is Bryn Kerrigan still here? I don't see her.
Not this afternoon.
I also wanted to make the note, and this is not an inspection by her, but she is in regular contact with the 3 facilities here in Kern County, especially when it comes to outbreaks or illnesses of those sorts that need to be reported. So the county public health officer is in contact with these 3 facilities. She's not going in and doing inspections. Don't read that into it, but she is in contact with them for various other reasons. It was also mentioned by our staff that there are, and I think you said 6 agencies that can perform inspections. Those are federal agencies inspecting federal operations, correct?
Supervisor Couch, through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I would like to ask Supervisor Peters if he would. I think his referral was let's get some clarification from the Department of Justice, from the United States, and from the state of California on, because there's conflict in the law that was passed by the state and the federal government's law, correct?
Supervisor Couch, yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
so if we could add to that maybe a letter to the 6 agencies that just says, we have had public comment about these facilities in our county. We wanted you to know about that. And at least they're notified that we've had some public comment and there's concern among members of the public. Enough concern that they're willing to come down to a Board of Supervisors meeting and express it. And lastly, and I don't know if this is part of the referral or not, but I think, I don't know if you want to incorporate Proposition 50 into it at all, but this issue specifically, I think we ought to have some sort of a statement from the county, from our PIO or a press release, what have you, and I'll leave that to our CAO's office to figure out how you would like to deal with that. On what our referral is, what we're actually doing, so the media and the public are aware of exactly what we're doing, and we make it as clear as we can make it.
I hear one motion from Supervisor Peters regarding clarification, and then from Supervisor Couch, the letters to the institutions. There are apparently 6 federal agencies that do have the authority and the responsibility of checking these facilities. Some of that has occurred. Reports have been written and have not entirely been provided to us, and we would like to see what those are. I hear from you, Supervisor Couch, you want to inform them that we've received reports from the public of conditions there, in particular medical care provision, a whole host of problems that have been reported to us that we would like answers on.
And just to add on, so that was 6 entities within DHS, but there's actually 9 that were cited in County Council's report when you add on State AG, the FCC, and Congress. So why don't we just pursue all 9 avenues so we approach it in a comprehensive manner.
I'd like to motion that we make a referral to the appropriate state and federal agencies asking for clarification on our legal responsibilities and what we're allowed to do under law as it stands, and also to make those agencies aware of public comment that we've received regarding the status of these facilities.
The CAO and the attorneys are going to have to work on that because we have no evidence. We have reports that have been given to us at a Board of Supervisors meeting. So, you have to tread lightly on how you inform these agencies of the concerns that we've heard.
Thank you. It is my understanding, as to what I've been informed of as of today, before this public session, that supervisors are not allowed into these facilities. We cannot arrive and demand entry into them. We have no inspection rights. That is what I have been informed of. We're asking for clarity on this matter officially through this referral process. My plan was to arrive there. I have conservative friends in this community who said they wanted to accompany me also, because if what they are hearing is true, they also found that to be detestable. But as of today, I've learned that is not permissible. I don't know if that's true or not. We need to get clarification on that. And I apologize for the delay and for the disappointment. Sincerely apologize. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote on the referral. The motion.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, members of the public. Thank you for everything that you do.